I'm back with another piece of super interesting, culturally relevant research that I wish everybody knew about. Today is part 2 of our discussion about how childhood trauma messes with our bodies via the ACEs study. In part 1, we left off talking about how individuals who have experienced 6 or more adverse childhood experiences on average see a shorter lifespan of roughly 20 years, which is insane that everybody doesn't know, but you know who does know? Insurance companies. Quick side story, my partner and I applied for life insurance last year. He has some significant physical health problems, but no childhood adversity. I, on the other hand, I'm in good physical health, but have a lot of childhood adversity. And guess who went sailing through the application process no problem? It wasn't me. It was him. When the life insurance company got a hold of all my medical records, they were like, no, thank you. Because they know. They know that adverse childhood experiences are a better predictor of a shorter lifespan than most any kind of physical ailment. I am going to talk now about how the researchers were able to make sense of this finding. Adverse childhood experiences are going to disrupt the development of your nervous system. And when you disrupt the development of the nervous system, you will inevitably find disruptions in social development, cognitive development, emotional development. What happens when we're not thriving cognitively, socially, emotionally? Life isn't going so great. What do? We numb out. We drink too much. We abuse drugs. We engage in risk-taking behaviors. Anything to escape. And they argue that it is the adoption of those health risk behaviors that are going to lead to disease and disability, which will ultimately shorten your lifespan. Do take some issue with that model. There's a bit of victim blaming built in. Oh, it's only because you've adopted all of these maladaptive behaviors that now your health is declining. Messing with your brain development is enough to trigger disease in the body. This is the first comprehensive model they came up with, but this model doesn't address is where ACE is coming from. Why are they so prevalent in the population? And the good majority of this stuff is happening within the family unit. For example, roughly 90% of child abuse is perpetrated by the parents. But what does that mean? Does that mean we have all of these horrible people out there just like wanting to do bad things to their kids? Psychological research would suggest otherwise. People, for the most part, are inherently good, but put them in the right set of circumstances, and they will adopt some maladaptive coping strategies. I've said this before. Research on bad caregiving effects on children is frequently done in rodents, and you can make an abusive rat mom by simply taking away her bedding. Take away her resources, and she's going to start getting rough with the kids. Not because she's turned bad, but because she's stressed out. And that maps straight onto the human condition. It wasn't until other researchers at George Washington University, particularly Dr. Wendy Ellis, started examining, well, what's the thing that's causing the ACEs in the first place? Here are the two new tiers. Generational embodiment and historical trauma are leading to changes in social conditions and local contexts, which create the breeding ground for ACEs to occur. ACEs don't fall out of the sky. What's happened historically in your lineage may be priming you for more adversity. Because when the body encounters trauma, it adapts for survival. But those adaptations are only adaptive as long as the conditions are the same. Once the conditions have changed, now we're talking about maladaptive strategies. And that's where we see people inadvertently cultivating environments that lead to early childhood adversity in their offspring. So Dr. Ellis is on a mission to reconceptualize this entire ACE model. Instead of a pyramid, let's make it a tree, and let's call it pair of ACEs. And on that tree, the leaves represent all of these adverse childhood experiences, but that tree is planted in soil that is steeped with adverse community environment, like lack of affordable and safe housing, community violence, discrimination, lack of social and economic mobility. And if that's the only soil that tree has to pull from, what do you expect the leaves to look like? I'll be back in the next video to talk more about that. For now, you can check out all of the resources linked in my bio.